Hi, I'm Landon Whaley. I'm here with Adrian Manz. Adrian, thank you for being here today.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
For those folks out there who aren't familiar with you and/or maybe how you're involved in markets today, can you give us just a brief bio highlights? I know you've accomplished quite a bit in your life, but if you could just give us the highlights, give the folks a sense of who you are and what you do.
So we developed, when I say we, it's my wife Julie and I, we in graduate school, we developed a big statistical model that trades the markets, right? Essentially, that goes through and very actively trades. And we've been doing this primarily on New York Stock Exchange listed securities for the last 25 years. Probably the last 5 years, we've added NASDAQ securities as well. Had to do with how the model functions in the different markets. I mean, they're different animals, right? The IZ and the NAS. But since so much program trading has come into the NYSE as well, that portion of our business has changed a little bit. But other than that, we're pretty much doing what we started out doing 20-some years ago.
Okay, all right. Well, look, I believe that because each of us has our own unique life experience as well as market experience, that none of us approach markets in exactly the same way. Our approach to markets is really as unique as a fingerprint.
Right.
We may use some similar tools and such. There may be some overlap, but essentially, we're doing it uniquely. Can you give us some insight, whether it's strictly the statistical models or into your approach, into how you look at trading markets?
Sure.
And it makes it the way you do it and no one else does it just like you.
Well, so we're looking for, it's essentially a series of 9 patterns. It's a pattern-based model. And what it's doing is looking to rotate through all the sectors and then find the individual stocks in those sectors that are moving through those patterns. So this whole notion of around the horn is really all about, your market goes through periods of consolidation, and then it goes through periods of markup and markdown, right? So we're never touching a market when it's moving sideways. We're moving on to the next sector and then finding the stocks that are in that sector that are rotating and starting through the progression of patterns.
Gotcha.
And the patterns start with an expansion of range and volume, and then that'll move them either in a markup or markdown.
Right.
And once they start moving, then we follow them through until they get into a contraction phase, and then we start following them in the other direction. So we're long for a while, then we're short for a while.
Great.
The market goes back in, starts accumulating.
Love going both ways. That's good.
We're almost 60% short most of the time.
Okay.
Just because they fall faster than they rise. Right?
No question.
And so when the sector dies out on us, we just move on to the next group. Okay.
Now, are you so you're looking for the stocks in the sector that are going through this 9-wave pattern? How are you evaluating the sector? Same thing. At the sector level, the sector itself is doing a same wave type of pattern, and that's how you're identifying them to then drill down to find the stocks.
So to this day, I flip through charts to find my
cool.
setups. Right? So I'm going through about 1,000, maybe 1,100 charts. It takes maybe an hour to flip through the charts. And the reason, so there's been a bunch over the years, a bunch of companies have licensed scanners, and like Metastock is a great scanner that will run all of my patterns. A bunch of companies have come up with scanners, but for me, the essence of it is if I flip through the charts and I find out that, let's say, Beezer's moving, then the first thing that I'll notice then is, okay, well, is Lennar moving as well? Is Centex moving? Is Pulte moving?
Is this idiosyncratic, or is there a sector-wide thing going on?
Because it's going to make a difference in how we trade it. Because if it's unique to the stock, then we try to find out, well, is this a news-driven, a headline-driven kind of a thing that's happening to the stock? Whereas if the entire sector's moving, then we've got a clue that this is going to be in play for us for a much longer period. Right now we're going to have that wave pattern moving through the sector. Not to say we won't take it if it's unique to the stock.
Right.
I just want to make sure I'm aware of why it's moving.
Because you may approach the trade differently if you know it's idiosyncratic versus it's a full sector move.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
You've got a wealth of experience, 2.5 decades in markets. How has your approach changed, if at all, in those 25 years?
When we started, we had a real, I don't even know if it's just this idea that you've got a work ethic about it. You're going to go to a job and you're going to do this for 6.5 hours every day.
Right.
Opening bell, closing gavel, you're sitting there. And what wound up happening was about 10 years ago, we came to the realization that if we just focused on the first hour of the trading day, that would give us as much opportunity, if not more, than sitting in front of the screen the whole day. And you can automate most of those trades. So, I use a piece of software called Realtek in my own trading. Realtek allows me to just go through, put the automation on. I'll sit there for the first hour and look for the really active trades and try to find additional opportunities. But pretty much, I mean, we live in Pacific Palisades in California, which is, for people who aren't familiar, we're essentially Malibu, and we've got great beaches and great mountains, and I want to go hiking in the morning.
You got stuff to do.
Right, it's lifestyle at this point, and if the machine can take care of it, I really think what happens if you force yourself to sit there is you wind up screwing a bunch of trades up in the afternoon.
That's right. Yeah, you let it, what I call our humanness. You let the humanness factor come into play.
You start seeing things. You're bored. You start looking for things, and when you start looking for things, you tend to find things, and they tend to not be as good as the things that you had planned to begin with, right?
That's exactly right.
My 2 cents.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What is the one piece of advice in all of your years that you've either heard, received, or read that really resonated with you and changed the game for you in some way? Whether it's market related, trading related?
To focus on the psychology of it.
Okay, great.
This is developed in our own trading with other people and teaching other people how to trade. We've had a lot of people come to us over the years, and I've taught a lot of people how to trade. But the first question we always ask them is, have you gone through and figured out whether or not this really resonates with you? Because I get you want to make a bunch of money. Everybody does, right? Everybody'd love to get into trading and just make a killing.
Right.
But if I'm teaching you how to do something that makes you psychologically uncomfortable, then you're going to wind up in a position of never being able to make it work.
Right.
And you're going to come back and say, well, I'm not cut out for trading. Where you might be very well suited to trading a different person's style. Right?
Yep.
So other people might teach you how to trade options. We're stocks. We're all stocks all the time. It tends to make some people nervous because you're putting a lot of money up to buy that underlier.
Yeah.
They'd rather go through and control a future or control an option or something. But we're not wired that way, right?
Right.
So Julie and I were definitely never wired for the derivatives markets. We were always wanting to be involved with. For us, it was NYSE. Because there's a guy on the other side of that order. We know exactly that there's one human being responsible for that trade. That was our comfort zone. And if you try to get out of your comfort zone, you're going to wind up in a lot of trouble in a hurry.
There's no question. So what's embedded in there is your process, whatever it is for taking trades, evaluating markets, must meet and align with your personality. Is that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that...
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. Adrian, this has been terrific. If you'll let the folks at home know how they can best get in touch with you, learn more about what you guys are doing with your company and how you're helping investors, the most direct way, that'd be terrific.
All right, so we are traderinsight.com. That's INSIGHT.com. And you can also go to the website or shoot me an email at adrian@traderinsight.com, and we'll get back to you.
Adrian, thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.